What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Do It, Skip It, or Block It. In this episode, I'm going to be covering the Slayer Master Duradel and showing you exactly how you can make the most money possible out of the Slayer skill. Now, before we get going into what tasks you should do, skip, and block, I'm going to talk about Duradel's task weights and how they work. Duradel is the highest level Slayer Master that you can possibly use in the game, and his total task weight is 271. Unlike Neve, Duradel can assign tasks have a task weight all the way up to 12, which Neve's or Steve's task weight maximum is 10. Duradel can also assign you tasks all the way down to a task weight of 2. Now, the way task weights work is very simple. You take the task weight of a task, we'll use Abyssal Demons as the example, which is 12, you divide it by the total task weight of the Slayer Master, so for Duradel that's 271, then you multiply this number by 100, which will give you your percentage chance of getting something as a task. So Abyssal Demons would be 12, you have a 4.43% chance of being assigned Abyssal Demons as a task if you have every task unlocked. Now, Duradel is the best Slayer Master in RuneScape for making money. Duradel assigns a lot of tasks that can be killed on the regular NPCs or their boss variant. Alright, so now that we've got all that explanation stuff out of the way, we can go ahead and get into the Do It, Skip It, or Block It. First up is going to be the tasks with a task weight of 12. You will have a 4.43% chance of being assigned a task with a task weight of 12. Up first is the boss tasks. This is an unlock. You will actually have to pay some Slayer points for this to be able to be assigned bosses as a task. Now, when you are assigned bosses, you can pick how many you want to do between 3 and 35. If you want to get it out of the way quickly, you can do 3, but if you're trying to make a lot of money and it's a decent soloable task, you're always going to want to pick 35. Next up is going to be the Abyssal Demons. Now, Abyssal Demons are actually decent money right now at the time of this video because the Abyssal Whip has climbed in price all the way up to 3 mil. So you could do normal Abyssal Demons if you don't have the gear to do the boss. But if you have the levels and good gear, you are definitely going to want to do your task at the Abyssal Sire. Abyssal Sire does have some decent drops along with the Unsired drops where you can get daggers and bludgeon pieces. Next up is going to be the tasks with a task weight of 11. Duradel only has one of these on his assignment list, and those are Dark Beasts. Now, in order to be assigned Dark Beasts, you're going to have to at least start Morning's End Part 2. Now, Dark Beasts can make you some money if you get lucky with Dark Bow drops, but I do suggest you do this task regardless because if you don't have the extension, you'll only be assigned 10 to 20. So they're not that great of money, but they can be knocked out very quickly for some extra Slayer points. So I definitely suggest you do it. Next, we have the tasks with a task weight of 10. You will have a 3.69% chance of being assigned one of these as a task. First up is going to be Lizardmen, and this is an unlock. You will have to unlock this by speaking to a Slayer Master and spending a few points. When you unlock these, you can kill the Lizardmen Shaman, which do have the chance of dropping a Dragon Warhammer at a rate of 1 in 5,000. Next is going to be the Mithril Dragons, and there's a few unlocks that go with this. First, unlock the task for 80 points. Next, you're going to want to unlock Duly Noted, which will have the bars drop in noted form for 200 points, and I Really Myth You for 120 points, which will extend the task. Now, Mithril Dragons do have the chance of dropping Chewed Bones, which you can get Dragon Full Helms from the Pyre ships when using them. That's a rate of 1 in 250, and the Mithril Dragons also will drop the Dragon Full Helm at a rate of 1 in 32,000. Next up is going to be Czar. Now, this is also an unlock, and I'm going to leave this one up to you. If you do this task, you're going to want to do the new Czar that are in the newer area where the Inferno is. These Czars have the ability to drop all of the obsidian armor and weapons. And the last task with a task weight of 10 is going to be Hellhounds. And if you do have level 91 Slayer, you're going to want to be doing Cerberus. Cerberus drops the crystals that make all of the best in slot boots, which are Primordial, Pegasian, and Eternal, and also the Smoldering Stone. All of these stones are dropped at a rate of 1 in 512 for a specific stone, or 1 in 128 for any stone. Moving on, we now have the tasks with a task weight of 9. You will have a 3.32% chance of being assigned any one of these tasks. First up is going to be the Necreals. You are definitely going to want to do the normal Necreals if you're looking for more money. Bursting or barraging the greater necreals is obviously going to cost you a lot of money, but meleeing the normal necreals does not cost very much at all if you have a Ceradoman Godsword or a set of Guthans. Next up is going to be Black Dragons. If you get Black Dragons, you are definitely going to want to extend this task, and you're going to want to do the Brutal Black Dragons. With a range level of 90 plus and a Dragon Hunter crossbow, you can see anywhere from 900k to 1 mil per hour. Up next is Dagonoths, and these also have a boss variant. If you do get a Dagonoth task, you're going to want to head straight to the Dagonoth Kings. Archer's Rings and Berserker's Rings are up there in price right now, so they could be a very nice payday. After that, we have the Cave Kraken, which always drops very good loot, and you're always going to want to do the boss here because it is very AFK and very easy to kill. Next is Smoke Devils. With Smoke Devils, there is another Slayer boss, the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, which drops Dragon Chain Bodies and Smoke Battle Staffs. Up next for a task weight of 9 is going to be Greater Demons, and this is going to bring us to our first Block It task. Greater Demons don't really drop anything, just a couple rune full helms here and there and some clue scrolls. It's not really good to waste your time on. Up next is Cow Fight. And there's another boss here, the Cow Fight Queen. Now this can be a very lengthy task if you do decide to do the Cow Fight Queen, but the GP per hour isn't too bad. You can see over 600k per hour while doing the Cow Fight Queen, not to mention the chance at a neat pet. Heading into the next task weight, we have a task weight of 8, which is a 2.95% chance of being assigned these as a task. First up is going to be Gargoyles. Gargoyles, I will leave this up to you. You can either do the normal Gargoyles for around 600k per hour, or you can do the Grotesque Guardians, and with their recent HP nerf, they have definitely become a little bit more profitable, putting them on par or a little bit over the normal Gargoyles. Next up is going to be Sukas, and this is going to bring us to our second block task. Sukas don't drop anything but their teeth and hides and bones, so this is definitely a block task because you will not make any money here. Up next is going to be Black Demons, and if you haven't done Monkey Madness 2, then you're going to want to skip this task until you get it done. Once you finish Monkey Madness 2, you can do the Demonic Gorillas, which drop the Zenite Jewelry Shards, which go for a very hefty amount of around 12 to 13 mil. Next up is going to be Aviancies, and this is an unlock. Aviancies give you the ability to do Armadillo on a Slayer task. That Slayer helmet bonus will really help you get a lot of damage onto Armadillo if you're using some higher tier gear. Next is going to be Bloodvelds. Now Bloodvelds can be a very good source of experience, but they don't really drop anything. If you kill the mutated Bloodvelds, then they do require prayer potions, which will cost you money for not a lot of profit. Next up is going to be Red Dragons, and these are also an unlock. You can unlock these, and I do suggest you do so because you can kill the Brutal Red Dragons, which do have a chance of dropping a Draconic Visage, as well as Red Dragon Hides and Dragon Bones. Each kill can net you somewhere around 9k guaranteed, plus the loot that you get from the kill. Moving along, we are now at the tasks with a task weight of 7. You will have a 2.58% chance of being assigned one of these as a task. First up is going to be Skeletal Wyverns. Skeletal Wyverns are a very good source of income whether you decide to range or melee them. But if you do melee them and you have higher melee stats, you can see upwards of 800k GP per hour. Next is Spiritual Creatures. A lot of people block these early on because Spiritual Rangers and Warriors are kind of a pain to kill and they don't really provide any profit. But as for me, I say you stick it out and deal with them until you hit level 83 Slayer. Once you hit level 83 Slayer, you can kill the Spiritual Mages, which do drop the Dragon Boots at a pretty low drop rate. So if you come here and get 3 to 4 Dragon Boots in one task, it can be a decent addition to your bank. Next up is going to be Aberrant Spectres, and I will leave this up to you, although I marked skip it. Now I said skip it because sometimes you might want to do them for a fast task with a little bit of profit. They do drop a hefty amount of herbs and some Snapdragon and Torsal Seeds here and there. Next up is going to be Steel Dragons, and this is going to be our 4th block task. Steel Dragons do drop the Draconic Visage, but at a rate of 1 in 10,000. And that's really the only good thing on their drop table. They definitely take a lot longer than they're worth. Next up is going to be Fire Giants, and this is going to bring us to our 5th and final block task. Now Fire Giants drop battle staffs here and there and some rune scimitars, but the amount of money that you're going to make from these is very minuscule, so I am going to go ahead and say this should be your final block task. Now I know I said this is your 5th and final block task, but if you have finished an elite diary, you will have the ability to block one more task in a 6th spot. But the requirements for the diary are kind of steep, so I left it out of this video. If you do have that 6th spot, you can go ahead and block something a little bit lower on the list, probably trolls or ankus, just to get those out of your task list. Up next, we have our only task with a task weight of 6, and this will be a 2.21% chance, and these are trolls. I suggest that you skip these. The trolls at the Death Plateau don't really drop anything notable. You can kill the trolls in Jetizo, which are ice trolls, which do drop some rune items here and there, but they are kind of high level and they do have a decently high defense level, and I personally don't think the profit is worth the time here. Up next, we have our tasks with a task weight of 5. These will be 1.85% chance of being assigned. First up is going to be Anku. Anku don't really drop anything of monetary value aside from a few death and blood runes here, so I'm going to suggest you skip these. Up next is going to be Dust Devils. Dust Devils, I would skip them, and I do skip them, but they can be somewhat of a decent source of income. You can probably end up making 300 to 400k on one task of them if you have them extended. Personally, I skip them. Up next is going to be Iron Dragons. Iron Dragons also drop the Draconic Visage, but the rest of their drop table is very crappy, so I'm going to suggest you skip these. Our final task with a task weight of 5 is going to be Fossil Island Wyverns, and if you have the combat level in the gear, you are definitely going to want to be killing the Ancient Wyverns. These do have the chance of dropping the Wyvern Visage, which is the magic Dragonfire shield, and it can go for a decent amount of money. Aside from that, killing these can net you somewhere in the area of 600 to 700k profit per hour. Moving into our tasks with a task weight of 4, you will have a rate of being assigned these as a task at 1.48%. First one up is going to be Cave Horrors. Now this is going to be another one that's up to you. Cave Horrors do drop the Black Mask, but I find that they're much more trouble than they're worth, and the drop rate for the mask is 1 in 512. Next up is going to be Elves. These don't drop anything that really can make you a lot of money, so you're going to want to skip these. Up next, we have the Blue Dragons. If you are assigned a task of Blue Dragons but don't have a higher combat level, you can head over to the Taverley Dungeon and do them in a task-only area and collect the bones and hides for a decent profit. If you do have a decent range level and some decent gear, you can head over to the Brutal Blue Dragons for 2 hides and 1 bone per kill, plus the drop and a chance at a Draconic Visage. Up next, we have Kurosks. Kurosks are in the Relica Slayer cave and can be a decent source of income, somewhere in the area between 6 and 700k profit per hour. And finally, we have our tasks with a task weight of 2. Up first is going to be Zygamites. Zygamites can be killed in Zenaris or over on Fossil Island. Now I am going to suggest you skip these because either one you kill doesn't really drop anything of monetary value, and they can take a bit of time to kill. Next is going to be Water Fiends. Water Fiends drop absolutely nothing of monetary value, so you are always going to want to skip the Water Fiends. Up next is Rune Dragons. Now you will have to have Dragon Slayer 2 completed to be assigned these, but they do have the chance of dropping the Dragon Limbs for the Dragon Crossbow, Draconic Visages, and Dragon Metal Lumps for the Dragon Blade Body. So even though they're only assigned in an amount of 3 to 8, you are definitely always going to want to do these for the shot at some good GP. And last but not least, we have Adamant Dragons, which also require Dragon Slayer 2 to be completed. I'm going to go ahead and say skip these because these things are terrible to kill. I did a real GP per hour video on them and I hated every single second of it. Now they do drop Draconic Visages, Dragon Metal Slices, and the Dragon Limbs for the crossbow, but they are a very big pain to kill, and my personal opinion is just skip them. Alright, that's going to wrap up this episode of Do It, Skip It, or Block It for Duradel. Now this video is my opinion, and this is how I get the most enjoyment and the most cash out of the Slayer skill. If you want to mix some things up that you would rather do, please by all means go ahead. But like I said, this is how I enjoy the Slayer skill the most. So if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. They really help the video's popularity. And if you haven't done so yet, please tap that subscribe button on your way out. All of your support and subscriptions to me really mean a lot to me, and they really help my channel grow. And if you didn't know, I do have a Patreon page which you can help me support my YouTube channel on by being a patron. There are 5 different tiers and they do come with different rewards. So you can check that out by the link in the description below or the link at the very end of this video. Until next time guys, I will see y'all later. Take it easy.